except in very remote country areas of Europe, very areas where people still clung to their pre-Christian rituals and beliefs. What happened was that Christianity simply ripped off the rituals and the symbols of paganism and used them for their own purposes, because it was easy. That was an easy way to get the pagan people to believe that Christianity was similar to what they already embraced.
Right.
Know?
It's that's the smooth transition, because otherwise, if it would have been too foreign, the people would never have accepted it. They wouldn't let it into their lives.
And they would have rejected it, and they did reject it.
Mm.
You know, a great part of the pagan world for centuries. Let's say that the rise of Christianity began actually with the Zadokite cult in Palestine around 150 BC, before the supposed historical Jesus. And so there's a period of about 150 BC up until about 450 AD. There's like more than 500 years when Christianity had to, gradually took over. There was an enormous resistance in the pagan world at that time. A number of the pagan intellectuals who were the teachers and highly respected figures of that time totally rejected Christianity as a pestilence. They called it a virus and a plague. They said it was a despicable faith. Why? Mainly for one reason, which I've pointed out in my book. Christianity glorifies the redemptive value of suffering.
Mm.
And that is totally contrary to pagan beliefs. A pagan will define later on, maybe at more length, what I'm calling a pagan. But a pagan is a person who does not believe that human suffering has a divine purpose. That is a very perverted idea from a pagan point of view.
Mm.
So there was great resistance to this belief system of Christianity and to the supernaturalism of the Messiah. There's no Messiah in any pagan religions. There's no equivalent to the Messiah. I have to say that, unfortunately, some comparative mythologists, apart from myself, who are highly respected in this world, have led people to believe that, the Christian Messiah, Jesus Christ the Messiah, is similar to other figures in pagan religion or pagan culture, such as Balder in Norse myth or Angus in Celtic myth. This is a false parallel. The supernatural Messiah, whose suffering has supreme magical value of saving the world, is unique to the belief system of Christianity. And pagan people would not have that belief. They would not have accepted that belief if it wasn't put over on them in a very clever way.
Mm.
And one of the clever ways was to say, well, we're going to adopt it. Don't resist us, because we're going to adopt your symbols and rituals. And you'll see, we'll just use them in our way, but it'll really be the same game. And it wasn't the same game at all. And at the very same time that the early Christians in Europe adopted and co-opted pagan symbols and rituals, they were ferociously busy eliminating the pagan tradition of books and learning and destroying the mystery centers and persecuting the leaders of those centers. So they played that double game.
Well, that's a good point. I wanted to ask you about that then, if you believe it's true that the Roman Empire and through the military empire that you mentioned, basically they started the execution of the Gnostic people. They killed people who had the knowledge from the ancient world, and in one sense they might have extracted it for themselves, or it might have been lost, as it claimed in many texts and so forth, that the literature and so forth was burned and all was lost. I still think that some amount of that knowledge was taken into the top echelons within the Roman Empire, but that's difficult to say. But basically, would you say that they started the execution of the learned elders, as it were?
Well, they certainly did, and there is historical evidence of that. And the might of the Roman Empire, once the empire was turned, was united with the new religion, some of it was directed toward the persecution of paganism. Paganism and pagan rituals and beliefs were ruled forbidden on penalty of death already around 385 AD. And why would you need to do that?
Yeah.
But ask this question: anybody out there who believes that Christianity was originally, or in any sense still is, a religion of love, then wouldn't you say that coexistence is essential to love?
Yeah, of course.
That coexistence would be one of the first proofs of love. That if you carry love in your heart and you carry love in your relation to other human beings, that you would show them an attitude of coexistence. Isn't that reasonable? Well, when you look at the historical record, there is absolutely no record of early Christian ideologues or converts wanting to coexist with pagans or with the leaders and representatives of the mystery schools. They did everything they could to eliminate them, and in many cases, Henrik, they didn't need the force of the military force of the Roman Emperor to do that. The monks who were early monks who were created who were converted to Christianity were like stormtroopers. And one historian describing the takeover of Egypt by Christianity actually uses that term. Says that the Christian monks were so fanatical they were like stormtroopers. They went into the ancient sanctuaries of mystery knowledge in Egypt, the temples of Luxor, the temples of Dendera, which is close to Nag Hammadi, and the temples of Memphis and around Cairo, and they fanatically destroyed and burned all these books. It didn't need the military to do it. The religious converts did it themselves. And the history of the rise of Christianity is the history of a cultural genocide of an enormous magnitude. And one of the reasons why we have lost our way in this world and why we have become a species that can be manipulated and controlled by a small psychotic group of our own members is because the mysteries and the wisdom in the mysteries was destroyed, and we lost the foundation of our species vision. This, as you know, you've read my book. This is a story that I tell in my book.
And in one way, the warring monks that you mentioned, we can tie these in together with the Knights Templar, then, and the Knights of Malta, and these various group who were performing during the Crusades as well. But there are earlier versions of this as well.
Absolutely. This business of the long-term history of these secret orders and the Masons and the Illuminati and everything is very, very complicated. And I'm afraid sometimes that we might get a little lost and too absorbed in that. Again, that's all part of the problem, I think we know enough about the problem now, since we can never know enough about the problem, but I think we know as much about the problem as we need to know to start putting the solution together really fast. And one of the things that I would say is that whenever you have military orders and secret orders, you're not talking about the mysteries or anything derived from them. The mysteries were not like that. They had no military factor whatsoever, and that's one of the reasons why they could have been wiped out.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Why they couldn't protect themselves.
We had a gentleman called Gary Biltcliffe a while back on the program, and he, for instance, told about the Etruscans, the pre-Roman civilization, and basically how their knowledge of the building of the aqueducts and certain things were basically ripped, by the Roman Empire, and they gained a lot of their knowledge from this allegedly then very, very friendly people, and they had a lot of valuable information that the Roman Empire used in order to expand in the manner that they did.
Oh, totally. The Etruscans were an indigenous people of Italy who generously and freely gave to the foundations of Roman culture, and then they were, of course, eliminated when they had given what they had to give, and they didn't fit into the particular power structure that the Romans were creating in that time and setting. It's just tremendously important that we need to understand that the great orchestration of evil, if you want to call it social evil. I don't believe in cosmic evil, as you know, Henrik, in absolute or cosmic evil or some satanic or demonic force in the universe, but I do believe in social evil. And so what is social evil? It's just an expression of a human psychosis.